Well, in just a few short years, the Warriors went from being seen as one of the worst franchises in sports to Team of the Year, championship winners. During this time, ticket sales went up 99%, and the team's value increased by more than 250%. Erik Malinowski is sport writer and author of Betaball, How Silicon Valley and Science Built One of the Greatest Basketball Teams in History. He joins me live this morning. Erik, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me on.
I like the book a lot because what it shows me is that this isn't just a book about, hey, the Warriors got some good players and are good. This is a whole new fundamental approach to building a basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually one of the key reasons I wanted to write the book, is because I think that with Warriors fatigue and criticism, you hear, oh, if we just had a Steph Curry or if we just had a Klay Thompson, we would also win 65 games, we win a championship. It's actually a lot more complex than that. There's a lot more nuance to it. And I think that there's also been so much that has happened with this team over the 7 years since Joe Lacob and Peter Guber bought the team. There was no shortage of material.
Explain for our viewers who may have been, maybe they don't remember how the Warriors used to have to beg people to take tickets. They had a campaign once that said, it's a great time out. Back in the day, because they were basically begging people to come. I would get tickets and not go. So, I mean, tell me, could you ever believe that this is happening to this team?
Short answer, no. I spend really the first two chapters of the book sort of going through the backstory and reminding viewers that, there was a lot of downtimes for this team. Not that people need to be reminded of that sort of thing, but there were a lot of miserable memories. And this was a long time coming. And I would say that even the first couple years of the ownership group coming in, there were a lot of growing pains here. They did not do a lot of things correct.
We're looking at video of Steph Curry here, and one of the great things at the beginning of the book is that management, once the Lacob management group came in, they decided to stake their claim on a brand new, or someone who is a dynamic young superstar, and they had him already on the team.
Exactly, and I would say that even they certainly did not know exactly who they had on that team, but it was a combination of having that cornerstone in place and then also embracing new scientific initiatives. I first wrote about the Warriors in the spring of 2011. They were only the 5th team in the NBA to install these motion capture cameras, and the idea was that this was going to revolutionize the franchise. We didn't know how great they were going to become, but...
Right, and they did some controversial things. I mean, they hired a head coach who didn't have any experience. They hired kind of an out-of-the-box general manager, and also they do analytics by, looking at every single thing that, teams hadn't been doing before. Explain how Silicon Valley has something to do with that.
So that's why I say in the book, this is a real, I call it Betaball, because in Silicon Valley, in software development, there's that stage where you're not afraid to make mistakes. You're always innovating.
And Lacob comes from that background.
Exactly. And so they call that, that stage of development is called beta. And so the premise of the book is that really everything that the Warriors have done the last few years has been through this specific lens. They're not afraid to make mistakes. As we just said, they made a lot of mistakes those first couple of years before everything really came together. So it was about having this mindset where you empower your employees. Everybody, you never know where the next good idea is going to come from. And so not every sports franchise is run like that, but the Warriors have benefited from it.
Well, a lot of companies in the Bay Area are run like that.
Exactly.
So it's no coincidence that Joe Lacob has been here since his Stanford days, or maybe even before.
And he's a long-time season ticket holder. This was not a Johnny-come-lately. This was not, a guy coming in and swooping in with a lot of money. This was a guy that understood the Warriors culture and what was at stake.
So how long before other teams catch on to this and start trying to at least emulate it? They may not do a good job, but they're going to figure it out and start emulating this.
I think that they could embrace a lot of the concepts in this book. It's certainly not a cure-all. It's not a panacea of any kind. You certainly need the talent. I hope that one of the things the book, understands is that talent is very much a part of that equation. We're not discounting the accomplishments of a Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson, but everything sort of has to come together. So you're going to give your organization a better chance, and you just never know. A lot of these things in sports come down to good fortune and serendipity, and certainly the Warriors have had their share of that, but you could put yourself into a better position by doing these things.
Erik, I'm going to make a sports confession to you right here on the air. I remember when they fired Mark Jackson. He had won 50 games for the first time in a long time, more than 50. I think, was it 50 or
it was
whatever?
51 games.
51, all right. And I thought it was a bad move because I was drawing on my past experience what I knew the Warriors to be.
And that was a common sentiment.
Right. So now I know what a great move it was. They already knew what they were doing. They already had this vision from a long time ago. This couldn't tell us yet, right?
I mean, a lot of the pieces just sort of fell into place by happenstance. It was very controversial. There were columnists here in the Bay Area that were ripping Lacob, and he had not earned a large vote of confidence. The Warriors were on a franchise on the way up, but nobody thought that, certainly we knew that there was inherent talent on this team, I'm not sure anyone really thought that this was a championship level team, but Steve Kerr, I think if you come away from the book, he was kind of the final piece of this puzzle. There were others along the way, but I think we've all seen how this team has gelled under Steve Kerr, and they certainly have maximized their talent level with him in charge.
Well, Eric, I really liked the book, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't know. And I watched the Warriors pretty closely, but some of the nuances and some of the small details are in here. The book is called Betaball by Erik Malinowski, and it's out this week.
Out tomorrow.
All right, thank you. We'll have more of Mornings on 2 coming up right after this.